What if I told you that one of the biggest financial traps that people fall in today has nothing to do with interest rates or car loans or even dealership games, but with their own emotional attachment to the vehicle that's sitting in their driveway? Now, I say this after seeing it again and again. Good people with good intentions holding on to cars that are quietly draining their savings or giving up on cars that still have years of life left, simply because the timing of repairs scared them at the wrong moment. And before we unravel the psychology, the money math, and the real life signs of whether you should finally move on or keep holding the line, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notified the minute we produce another game-changing video that affects your future choice of car or SUV. And I promise you will appreciate it. So buckle up and let's plunge straight in. So let's start with something that few people admit. Cars are emotional objects. They carry stories, nostalgia, identity, pride, and comfort. And when you mix emotions with an object made of metal, rubber, wires, pumps, fluids, and parts, all designed to fail eventually, well, you can accidentally turn a reliable companion into a money pit that you never saw coming. But there's a difference, a big one, between sentimental value and what I call memory confusion. Now, genuine sentimental value is sacred. So if a car was passed down from your father or it's been in your family for generations, you simply preserve it, period. But the problem is that most people confuse memories with attachment. So you hear things like, hey, my daughter learned to drive in this car, or we road tripped across the country in this car, or this was the first new car that I ever bought. Now, those memories are beautiful, but they don't justify keeping a vehicle that's falling apart. Now, that's the first sign. If the memories are the only reason that you're keeping the car, well, you're headed towards a financial pain. Because here's the hard truth. If you push a car past its realistic lifespan, it will erase all those good memories. It will leave you stranded. It will ruin a vacation. And it will hammer your wallet over and over until you forget why you loved it in the very first place. So now let's talk about the technical side, because every single vehicle has a life cycle and it always begins the very same way. At first, you get the honeymoon period. Everything works, everything feels smooth, quiet, and predictable. Then you hit the first major service cycle: tires, brakes, fluids, big mileage maintenance. Now, people think this is the car breaking down, but it's not. It's just the very first storm. After that, the car calms down again. But when a car passes the 10-year mark, or around 140,000 to 180,000 mile mark, well, that's when you start seeing what I call the perfect automotive storm. Now, this is where age-related wear, heat cycles, corrosion rubber deterioration, failing plastics, and old electronics start lining up all at the very same time. You'll get a suspension noise, then you'll get an oil leak, then a brake job, then a check engine light, and then a coolant hose. And suddenly, it feels like the car has turned against you. But here's the second truth. This storm doesn't mean that the car is actually dying. It means it's asking you a simple question. What is your plan for me? And this is where people make very panicked decisions. See, they see $2,000 or $3,000 in repairs and they immediately assume the car isn't worth fixing. But this is where having a long-term plan actually matters more than anything else in the ownership experience. See, if your plan is to keep the car for 3 to 5 more years and the car is structurally sound, then repairing it is almost always a smarter financial move. The car will stabilize after the storm. But if you know you're only keeping it 1 more year, then repairing it becomes a gamble because the return on that investment, well, it just isn't there. Now, here's another thing that people misunderstand. The number the car is worth is actually irrelevant to the decision. I'll say that again one more time. The number that the car is worth is irrelevant to the decision. Now, people say things like, I'm not spending $2,000 on a car that's only worth $1,500, but these same people will go out and spend $8,000 on another used car with unknown problems, no repair history, questionable maintenance, and a bunch of issues waiting to reveal themselves the moment you show up to work late. And that's why I say this to customers all the time. If you're going to spend money, spend it on the car you already know, not the mystery that's waiting for you on Facebook Marketplace. Now, don't click away, seriously, because we're about to get into the real deal breakers, the things that should force you to walk away instantly, no matter how good everything else looks. So let's talk about structural rust, especially in the northern states. Now, surface rust doesn't really matter. Rust on the bottom of the doors, well, doesn't matter. The frame, that matters. See, once the bones of the vehicle are compromised, that car is no longer a safe machine. It's a liability that's disguised as transportation. So, when a frame is rotted, every repair multiplies into a nightmare. Bolts snap, brake lines crumble, suspension components fuse into rust sculptures, and this is the part that most people ignore. See, if the frame is rotten, the rest of the car has been living in the same environment. It's all failing. So, a friend with a welder, well, that's not the solution. See, welding doesn't restore structural integrity, it just prolongs the illusion of safety. Next, we need to talk about heavily modified vehicles. Lifted trucks, loud exhaust systems, retuned engines, aftermarket suspension. Well, all of those are great when the vehicle is young. But as they age, finding parts simply becomes a scavenger hunt, especially when the companies that made those parts are long since gone. And modified vehicles often age faster because they've been driven a lot harder. So, if a heavily modified vehicle starts giving you cascading problems, well, that's a sign to move on. The same goes for cars with discontinued parts. When the manufacturer stops supporting a vehicle, well, you can be forced into used parts that are just as old as the car itself. Now, that's not maintenance, that's gambling. Now we get to accident and salvage vehicles. Insurance companies do not total vehicles because they're generous. They do it because they know the repair will never return the car to a safe, reliable condition. So if they think the car is too risky to put back on the road, that's all you need to know. Severe accident vehicles are unpredictable for the rest of their lives. Electrical issues, alignment issues, water leaks, dashboard rattles, hidden structural weaknesses, and they'll never drive the same again, no matter how nice the paint may look. So here's your mid-video engagement moment. If you're still watching, and I know you are, tell me in the comments how old your current car is and whether you think you're keeping it or letting it go. You'd be surprised how many people are wrestling with the exact same decision. Okay, now let's close this out with the part people rarely think about, and that is the psychology of letting go. See, most people don't hold on to old cars because the car is good. They hold on to them because the unknown is even more scary. They're afraid of buying the wrong car. They're afraid of getting a loan. They're afraid of making a mistake. But fear-based decisions are almost always the most expensive decisions. Now, the smart car owners, the ones who save real money, are the ones who create a plan. They give themselves time, they budget, they research, and they don't wait until the wheels fall off or until the repair bill is an emergency. They act when they still have control. So before we wrap this up, I'll leave you with a cliffhanger question that completely changes the way people look at their own cars. a question that only the smartest owners ever ask themselves. Are you keeping this car because it's still the right tool for your life, or because you're afraid of what comes next? Just think about that one for a minute. So as always, if this video helped bring clarity, do me a favor, hit like, drop a comment, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss another video that could save you thousands of dollars. And if you want to know about the cars and SUVs that are truly worth your time and money, watch the videos on your screen right now. In the meantime, keep well, my fellow drivers, and I'll see you guys on the next one.